Hello, everybody, and here's a very, very hearty good morning and welcome to yet another edition from the Smart CA initiative. And as always, these are short videos for about 10 minutes. And what are we going to cover today? We're going to cover alliances, which is a newly introduced concept of ICAI. So, in this PowerPoint presentation, which is also a vlog, we'll talk about the context, the alliances which have been recently announced by ICAI as a guidance for coming together of firms. This was announced in February 2021, and a little bit on the way forward. So it's always this is the $1,000,000 question. Do we want to stay as sole proprietorships, boutique firms, or do we want to scale up? Well, there are obvious advantages with each. In the first, you're the prime minister, 100% ownership of your firm, your partnership firm. I don't like to call anybody small. We're all boutique firms offering very specialized services with a very strong client connect. There's a risk perception, there's succession, scaling. Do we want to be here, or do you want to become minister from being the prime minister to being a part owner in a more broad-based organization with different kinds of opportunities, an opportunity to be multidisciplinary, to want to institutionalize your practice? Do you want to go there? Well, fundamentally, I think it's our choice. And I don't think there is anything which is right or wrong about either. There are distinct advantages of being the individual player, and there are distinct advantages of being part of a larger firm. The another key issue is whether it's a small pie or whether it's a small share and possibly a larger earning share of a larger pie. A small pie or a small share of a large pie. Now, what's the roadmap? The expectation of the Prime Minister and the country is that we need more large firms. So, what's the roadmap that ICI sees and what we should also sort of participate in that collective vision? At the outset, we all start as individuals and sole proprietorships, and then we go into partnerships, and then there are alliances and networks, and then we merge or attempt to merge and become larger practices. And if you look at the evolution of most large firms in the country, this would sort of be there. So this is the roadmap: individuals and sole firms, partnerships, alliances, networks, which eventually leads to a merger and an aggregation of firms. So what are we going to talk about specifically today? We're going to talk about alliances. And in an earlier video of mine, I had actually put out some thoughts on the newly emerging concept of multidisciplinary partnerships, which I think is another very good idea. So what is alliance? Alliance is where different firms come together to form an alliance with the new name of an alliance and continuing to practice independently. So 10 of us could come together and form an alliance, and we showcase ourselves to be as an alliance. And under your firm name, which is ABC and Co., you can say a member firm of RAQ Alliance, whatever, the name of the alliance. And the ICAI has issued alliance guidelines to come into effect from 9th February 2021. What are the key points in relation to alliances? An alliance will be a recognized alliance only if registered with ICAI. And how do these guidelines define an alliance? It means a larger structure of a group of Indian CA firms that have come together for mutual benefits by pooling resources to showcase their combined strength, have uniform policies, technology, collaterals, and showcase themselves as one big unit. Well, what does this translate to mean? See, I might be very good in, let's say, risk and internal audit. I do no income tax. So I could possibly form an alliance with a firm which does more of tax work. There could be yet another firm doing very, very good attest functions. So this is an opportunity for a lot of us to come together to form these alliances, to showcase ourselves as one big unit. Now, an alliance by itself is a body. It could be an association of persons, is what the guideline says. It acts as a facilitator for the constituents of the alliance. So let's say you are the lead. You've taken the lead to form an alliance. And you would act as the facilitator for the constituents of the alliance. And by that, we mean an artificial person actually emerges. The constituents, which is the member firms in the alliance, can carry out their own professional practice. It can be constituted as a group of firms and may register as an AOP under the income tax laws. However, if I want to form an alliance, I can be part of only one alliance. I can't be in more than one alliance. That's not permitted. So you have to choose whom you want to ally with. The guidelines also specify that the alliance shall have a distinct name. So when four firms come together, A, B, C, D, they can form an alliance, A, B, C, D. So other combinations of a part of names is also permitted. An alliance suffix, A, B, C, D, alliance is also permitted. But the name approval has to come from ICAI. And there are other guidelines which are associated with such name approvals. And in all the alliances professional stationery, the member firms can mention that they are the members of so-and-so alliance. Similarly, the alliance stationery can say A, B, C, D are my member firms. So this basically creates a very, very strong perception in the minds of a client. So when they're looking at a large firm, they'd also be very, very open to looking at a large alliance. An alliance can come into existence. See, you and I can, broadly share some work and do some work, but a formal alliance gets created only when you register with the ICAI, and there is a Form B which is specified. And every agreement, bylaw, or MOU, by whatever name called, between the members of the alliance must be filed with ICAI, which is an essential precondition for registration of the alliance. Now, two firms may come together and make an alliance. Then third, fourth, fifth, sixth join the alliance. So just like our usual Form 18 practice, there's a Form C practice here where any change in the constitution of the alliance, incoming, exits, discontinuation of the alliance itself have to be reported in Form C within a period of 30 days. Now, what's very important is, by being part of the alliance, you still subscribe to the Code of Ethics of ICAI and all the relevant council guidelines. Conflict of interest shall not be permitted. So you can't do conflicting jobs. For example, Alliance A member in the alliance doing statutory audits and B doing internal audits for the same client is not permitted. Rotation rules. So A is rotating out. If A and B are part of the same alliance, B cannot become the statutory auditor under the rotation. It also says the alliance may advertise to the extent permitted by the advertisement guidelines issued by ICAI. It's always pull, not push. And as I had mentioned earlier, you can mention yourselves to be a member of Alliance AB. Now, do I have to go and tell everybody I've made an alliance, etc.? No. They say the effect of registering the alliance with ICAI is deemed to be a public notice of the alliance. And so specific consent of the client will be deemed to have been obtained. This is just a clarificatory point, which I had mentioned earlier. The same conflict rules will apply. Whether it's 144 of the Companies Act, which says that a firm can't do both accounting, audit, systems, procedures, etc. for the client. So if you're a statutory audit, section 144 defines certain proscribed services. So it means that if I am the statutory auditor and we are part of an alliance, my alliance partners cannot do internal audit, can't write SOPs for the client, can't do accounting services, can't do management services, etc. And the essential, threats, the conflict of interest threats of ISBA would still apply. Now, interestingly, the guideline also says the alliance can register themselves as AOPs and be recognized under the income tax laws, open a bank account in their own name, obtain PAN, GST registration, etc. Income received by the AOP can be as per the MOU entered. So what's really not clear, but I think this should be the norm, is that I can also continue to do my work because I'm an independent firm. And certain activities which we do as part of the alliance, we can bring it together. AOPs can prepare a common balance sheet and get it audited. So this is a very, very short curtain raiser on alliances of ICAI. So I had mentioned earlier, you start by being a sole proprietorship, an individual name, a partnership, and then alliance sits somewhere in the middle. And then once the alliances really grow strong, you can possibly move into a network and then a merger to scale up a big firm. But as it always mentioned, what's very important is your comfort zone and how happy you are in your practice. So it really doesn't matter. I've seen very beautiful sole proprietorships, very, very smart, small partnership firms. And I think for a country, we need everybody. We need a mix of firms. So that, and ultimately the stakeholders' satisfaction and the fact that you're treading a very ethical path is what matters in this whole domain of wanting to be small or large. The size sometimes matters, but it's your context, and it's your call finally. So here's wishing you the very best. And this is another edition from the Smart CA initiative. And this was on alliances as per the ICAI guidelines. Thank you very much and stay tuned for more.